Hey, what's up everybody? Man, has it been some time. I haven't created a video probably for the last 3 to 4 months, I want to say. I had a really hard time balancing out a lot of my classes because they were pretty challenging. And in addition to that, planning for my study abroad trip, just kind of getting familiar with the area that I'll be going to study. And in addition to that, I've had a hard time finding internships and applying, and trying to do all these different things at the same time became very time consuming and challenging. So I had to cut off some areas of things that I like to do, which included making these videos. However, now I am back and I'm ready to start creating these videos. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about college burnout. Hello everybody, my name is Trinidad Sanchez and welcome back to my channel where I talk about college tips and vlog about my college experience. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that way you could stay up to date with all the latest content that I am creating. And in addition to that, make sure you hit that like button so that way the YouTube algorithm can put this in front of the YouTube channel for anybody else that's looking to find college videos for first generation college students. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity yet, make sure you follow me on Instagram. That way you can see some of the content that I'm posting daily. And in addition to that, if you have any questions or concerns about college, you could reach out to me and I could do my best to help you with that question or navigating your college experience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So this semester, as I mentioned, I had trouble balancing a lot of things, and during that process, I had experienced college burnout. Now, college burnout is something that everybody experiences. However, for me, I felt like I've always experienced it, or during the semester, I would get like a little tired or fatigued. However, this semester has definitely taught me a lesson at what college burnout truly means. A definition of college burnout is: college burnout refers to an extended period of time of extreme fatigue and apathy that often results in a decline in academic performance. In college, burnout can be triggered by a variety of factors, but it is also often caused by overwhelming work demands and prolonged levels of intense stress. Thankfully, my performance did not drop. I did fairly well this semester, but I definitely experienced some college burnout throughout the semester. I'm going to dive into a little bit about my experience with college burnout and kind of the things that happened during the semester. So for me, I had thought, like I had mentioned before, that I've already experienced college burnout. So this last semester, I had decided to take about 5 classes. And I thought this would be nothing to me because I've taken 5 classes in my fall semester. And I've also taken a 3-week winter course. So coming into spring, I was thinking in my head like, wow, this should be pretty manageable. I've done this before many times. So it should be a piece of cake. I already kind of knew that these classes were going to be challenging, but I still didn't give it any attention. And I knew that these are classes typically seniors would take at the end of their graduation. That was kind of warned to me that they're really demanding classes. But for me, I just kind of wanted to knock it all out the way since we were in the middle of a pandemic, and we still are. But we were just not entirely sure of like where we were going, and things weren't getting better. So I said, since I'm not working, let me take advantage of this time and knock out these really challenging classes. And that was a really bad move on my end. I had to also manage my classes along with applying for my study abroad program, kind of figuring out the location and just understanding like what's in the city, what's around it, the culture, just kind of getting a better understanding. And in addition to that, trying to apply to internships multiple times, updating my resume, getting denied. And a lot of the times that would take a lot of time, and I had to kind of figure out how to balance it. And so unfortunately, as a result, I had to start cutting out different areas in order to just stay afloat. I wasn't having all this extra time. I was just barely getting by this semester. In the middle of the semester, I started experiencing really bad symptoms of college burnout. I started to begin getting really anxietic. So a lot of the times I would feel like I would never have enough time. I usually like to do things in advance, and I was starting to do things to the day it was due. And that's something that I really don't like to do because I like to kind of schedule my days in advance and have extra time for things that I need to get done. However, since these classes were a little bit more time consuming, I had to invest more time into them, causing me to get backed up on other assignments that I needed to do, and on top of that, other projects that I need to complete, which caused my anxiety to get worse. I even had mornings when I would wake up knowing that I had to do specific assignments and projects, and before I even started it, I would start to get a headache and get a lot of brain fog. Another symptom that I began to experience is procrastination. The more anxietic I would get, the more that I would procrastinate and kind of push things off a little bit. I would definitely start to read like the material, but kind of skim through it, just kind of picking out the things that I knew that were important, which most students do, but I didn't put as much effort as I'd like to. Another area that I had to sacrifice a lot in is my hobbies and my personal life. So I really had to take back some of the things that I enjoyed doing, such as making these videos, connecting with people that I was very, very close to, kind of managing my time a little bit more tighter. And it was really, really challenging because having to give up time that you already kind of give up anyways, and then just having to cut back a little bit more was really, really challenging. And just because of taking all of those extra classes, I could have completely avoided that if I would have just been mindful and just listened to what others said. But as a result, I had to sacrifice on my areas of where I would kind of breathe or take breaks from, and the way that I was able to kind of decompress, I had to even cut in those areas. So as a result, I gained another symptom, which was becoming really easily irritable. People that know me know that I'm very friendly and I'm outgoing. Sometimes I can be quiet just because of new areas or locations, but this past semester has caused me to become easily irritable. I didn't really want to go hang out with friends as much as I wanted to, even when I had the opportunity, because all I could think about was trying to get as much work as I can done, so that way I don't have to worry about it the next day. In addition to that, I wouldn't talk as much just because the only thing that was on my mind was all of these upcoming projects that I needed to get done, and thinking, man, like I could be home right now just getting this stuff done, or I could be focusing on another task or doing something else with my time. So then I would start to think of like, oh man, like I'm doing this when I could be doing this, and I felt like I was wasting time that I didn't already have. So that caused me to get more upset or shut down and not want to be around anybody and just kind of be lost in my own head. And as I began to notice this, I wanted to stay back and stay away. So I decided to shut down and kind of stay at home, not really doing anything, and just kind of keeping away. One other area that I just thought of right now that I didn't talk about was I started to fall into bad habits also. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that I personally don't like to do. Was I started to play a lot more video games. Video games are great and all, but for me personally, I look at them as more of a, I don't really like to play video games anymore as much because I think I could do so much more with my time. I just don't really like to play, and sometimes I will get into a bad habit of wanting to play for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then all that time kind of goes out the window. So for me, I try my best to avoid video games and kind of steer away from them as much as possible. But there are time and time again where I'll jump on for a game or two every other week. But I noticed that I started playing more and more, kind of building on that procrastination a little bit and shutting down from the world around me. Now, the real scare that happened was when I was towards the end of the semester for my final projects. I remember that I was sitting right here working on my HR analytics class, and I ran into something that was really challenging, and I had spent like an hour, maybe 2 hours trying to resolve it, and I was getting stuck. And I know that we had a couple of days to get it done, a presentation the next day on top of homework that I hadn't started, and out of nowhere I remember I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. It's funny that I'm talking about it because I'm remembering it, and I'm remembering that feeling. And I just felt that I had to pull back and kind of just go upstairs and lock myself in the room. It was a really scary experience, and I didn't want to frighten anybody. So I just decided to go in the room and just kind of force myself to calm down. But it was one of the most scariest experiences that I've had in my college journey, and it's something that I will not forget. Definitely not worth overwhelming yourself and taking classes just because you want to graduate a little early or get a little ahead. If I knew that this was something I was going to experience, I wouldn't have done it. And with that being said, I want to dive into a couple of tips to help you avoid these college burnouts. Tip number 1 is to make sure you make a to-do list before you go to bed. To-do lists are super important, and I've talked about it in one of my other videos, and I'll go ahead and put it up here or somewhere around here to kind of show you how I do mine. But to-do lists are super important because it shows you how to prioritize your day and kind of mark down what's important and what could be pushed off ahead of time. This way you have a better idea of what's going to happen for the next day, and you don't overwhelm yourself and stress yourself out about things that need to get done. Number 2 is continue to exercise. Without a doubt, science has proven it many times that exercise is super important and it makes you feel great. So that way, whenever you have to go to do your internship, or if you have to go to do your classes and assignments that you need to do, you feel good because you had the opportunity to go exercise, go for a run, hike, bike, whatever it is. As long as you get your blood flowing, it's always a good thing to get the exercise in, and it decreases cortisol levels, which is stress for yourself. Tip number 3, try not to drink too much caffeine. So something that I've done over this past semester that I noticed started to increase. I always used to have like tea before, way before the pandemic, and as the pandemic started, I started to have coffee. I started grinding my own coffee, and I started really liking it, and I started drinking way too much coffee, and it started to make me jittery and paranoid. So try to decrease the amount of coffee that you drink, especially when you know that you have urgent materials that are coming up, because it just makes you super stressed out and you feel over anxietic. And I feel like that was one of the things that caused my anxiety to increase during this semester. Tip number 4, always ask for help when needed. There's nothing wrong with vocalizing some of the concerns that you have with a friend or a counselor, because a lot of the times, we like to bottle things up and not to tell anybody, or we're scared of these like stigmas behind mental health. It is important to vocalize some of your concerns and frustrations. So make sure you have somebody that you can trust, that you know, or a counselor that's on campus that you can talk to, so that way you can kind of release some of the concerns and stress that you have building up that you may not even know about. Tip number 5, set smaller goals. This is something that I always tell myself, but I never listen to myself. And there's nothing wrong with setting smaller goals, right? I know that we're all overachievers. We all want to achieve things because of whatever X, Y, and Z reason. But sometimes overachieving or setting really high goals for yourself can sometimes be really getting to your health. For me, I like to do many things. I love accomplishing things because I know that it benefits others, or sometimes I just like to know that I can reach whatever I put my mind to. However, sometimes I have to be more realistic and understand that some goals are just too big to accomplish, and you have to be realistic with what you're trying to do. And that's something that I need to kind of teach myself over and over again. So if you're somebody like me that wants to set big goals, that's fine. Set those big goals, but break them down into little chunks and make sure that you're accomplishing those little chunks so you can get to the bigger goal. Nothing wrong with being aspirational, but just be realistic. Finalize this video. If you're somebody that's experiencing college burnout, make sure you connect with somebody like a counselor and talk about it before you experience things like I did. I hope that none of you had similar experiences or worse experiences than I did, because I can tell you that this semester has definitely put a number on me, and it's something that I'm going to remember and be humble about. So I hope that this video helps you in some way or form. Thank you so much again, everybody, for checking out this video, and I am back. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the newest content, and don't forget to hit that like button so that way the YouTube algorithm can put this out there for everybody. And in addition to that, if you have any questions, again, follow me on Instagram. That way you could send me a message and kind of reach out if you have any questions or concerns about college. If you're beginning college this upcoming year for the fall of 2021 and you have some things that you want to ask, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to kind of give the things that I've learned along the way. So that's the end of the video. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.